On a bridge, while hundreds of people lived in houses above, ships passed beneath, and severed heads were put on display. No, this isn't a movie scene. This was the true face of London in the 17th century. If you want to discover the most fascinating stories in history, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. 17th century London, with a population of around 500,000, was one of the most crowded cities in Europe. Rising along the banks of the River Thames, the city was shaped by trade and the constant flow of people. At the heart of this city stood a structure that represented far more than just a bridge, the Old London Bridge. As the only permanent crossing over the Thames, this bridge was completely unlike the ones we know today. Its surface was covered with houses, shops, workshops, and even small chapels. From a distance, it looked like a continuous neighborhood suspended above the river. The narrow arches beneath the bridge restricted the tidal flow of the Thames, creating dangerous currents. The buildings rose several stories high and extended over the roadway. Residents lived above the constant movement of carts and horses below. The risk of fire was ever present, yet people continued to live there for generations. At the southern gate of the bridge, the heads of those convicted of crimes against the state were displayed. This horrific sight served as a brutal reminder of the power of authority to anyone entering the city. The Thames itself was London's main highway. Barges, merchant ships, and boats carried grain, timber, coal, and imported goods, connecting London to the wider world. During harsh winters, the river froze solid, and people walked across the ice. By the mid-18th century, the bridge had fallen into such poor condition that authorities decided to remove the buildings. Between 1756 and 1762, the structures that had covered the bridge for centuries were gradually demolished. London's true transformation came in September of 1666, with one of the most devastating fires in history. What began as a small flame quickly spread through a city made largely of wooden houses. Narrow streets and densely packed buildings made the fire impossible to stop. Ludgate was engulfed in flames, and the tower of Old St. Paul's Cathedral was under threat. From Tower Wharf near the Thames, London looked like an unbroken wall of fire. While London Bridge remained standing, the Tower of London narrowly escaped destruction. In just a few days, much of medieval London was reduced to ashes. Yet the fire became a turning point. It forced the city to rebuild and reshape itself. The rebuilt London emerged with wider streets, stone buildings, and a more planned urban layout. After the Great Fire, not only ashes, but a deep sense of fear and uncertainty wandered through the streets of London. Plague outbreaks, especially in 1665, claimed the lives of thousands, and the sound of death carts became a daily part of the city. Despite this, Londoners continued to gather in taverns, markets, and the newly emerging coffeehouses. These coffeehouses became places where merchants, scientists, and politicians met, and where news and ideas spread. Thus, a city shaken by disasters also began to emerge as a center where modern thought and public debate took root. Rising above the river, the Tower of London was the center of royal power in the 17th century. It served as a fortress, an armory, a treasury, and one of England's most notorious prisons. Prisoners accused of treason were held within its walls. The tower also housed royal records, weapons, and the crown jewels. In 1638, Cheapside was one of London's most important ceremonial streets during the entry procession of Marie de Medici. With the Cheapside Cross standing at its center, these spectacles reflected the growing political and religious tension. Queen Henrietta Maria's Catholic faith deeply unsettled a city drifting toward civil war. In 1647, Westminster was the center of political and religious power during a time when England was deeply divided. The Palace of Westminster was the seat of Parliament and the focal point of the conflict between the monarchy and Parliament during the English Civil War. Westminster Hall was used for law courts and major state trials. Westminster Abbey had for centuries been the site of coronations and royal funerals. Whitehall Palace in 1643 was the largest royal residence in England. This complex stretched along the Thames and was where royal government was conducted. Most of the palace was destroyed by fire at the end of the 17th century, and today only the banqueting house remains. 17th century London was a place that held chaos and order, destruction and rebirth at the same time. Rising along the banks of the Thames, this city witnessed one of the greatest transformations in history. The new London, born from the fire, would become a center of science, trade, and culture. The power of Parliament grew against the monarchy, laying the foundations of modern democracy. This is not just the story of a city, but the story of the birth of modernity. And in these streets, this river and these bridges, we can still see the traces of today's world.